Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're specifically going to talk about Black Mirror Season 7, episode Plaything, starring Peter Capaldi as the video game reviewer and Will Poulter as the video game designer. And there are spoilers for Plaything in this content. So I believe something incredibly unique. I believe that Dungeons and Dragons was never, is not now, and never will be a game. I believe it is a human improvement engine specifically hidden by Gary Gygax. It's a completely unique view. I've never met anyone in my entire life who shared the view. I've been trying to convince people for 5 years that it's true. No one's on board, right? But I think that's the value of me. I don't need people to seal clap my opinions to believe them. And I have absolutely no problem believing that the world is wrong and I am right. It's not, and I don't think that anybody I think 1% of humanity is legitimately stupid. Just 1%, right? And guess what? The stupid people are not the people that other people are saying are stupid. I think whenever you hear someone say, "Oh, that person's stupid," all that's happening is this person saying, "Oh, I'm cruel and unempathetic." Right? It doesn't communicate anything about anybody who says someone else is stupid. So this is important. So I have this incredibly unique view, and I've spent a long time trying to communicate to people why Gary did this. And honestly, I've tried many times, but I don't think there's never been a narrative that explained it better than Black Mirror Season 7. I believe it's episode 4. Yes, it's episode 4, Plaything, okay? So Will Poulter is the game designer, and he gets somebody to come to him who is a game reviewer. And the reviewer comes in and he says, "Hey, I'm here to review your new game." And he says, "It's not a game," right? And he's like, "What?" And he's like, and he said, "I had to tell people it was a game for multiple reasons." And then he lists them, right? 1, no one would buy it if it wasn't a game, okay? No one, and that is 100% true. People despise self-help books. It's a very tiny section in the bookstore. It's not really like you have to get Oprah to sign off for anybody to read one. People hate self-help books. They absolutely despise them, right? And one of the reasons why is they're useless, right? The first thing you have to do is you have to go into the self-help section, and where it's like, "Oh, look at that person over there. They're broken and shallow and useless," right? You're in the self-help. You need self-help, right? Like, so it's pretty horrible, right? So so I love that they identified this. They're like, "Hey, I am here." I love that they identified this, and they were like, "Hey, nobody's going to buy something that's going to forward humanity unless it's wrapped in a game, right? Like, nobody's going to buy something that will genuinely transform them, something that will genuinely help them. There's no market for that, right? So that's one reason why. So I think that's 100% true. I think it's one reason why Gary Gygax hid his human improvement engine in Dungeons and Dragons, because nobody would buy it if it was just a self-help book. Certainly nobody wants to buy the couch scribbler disciplines output. Nobody wants that. Like, the model is I pay you $200 an hour to answer my questions with questions. I don't think so, right? Nobody wants that, right? So, and then except Hollywood does want that, and the only reason why is the $200 isn't real to them. They have so much money that's like the price of a candy bar, right? And that's what they're doing. They're buying a candy bar, something that is, it's empty calories. It's not. It just makes them feel better. It doesn't actually help them with anything. The way you can tell this is they never stop going to them. They never reach a point where they've been helped, right? They just keep going to them constantly, So, all right. Next, he identifies why he had to hide his transformative work, Will Poulter, the game designer, in a game. He's like, nobody would fund it. Right? Like, he got millions of dollars to fund his project, and without money, not only would anybody buy it, but they wouldn't fund it to be created, right? Gary Gygax was the same thing. He went to Brian Bloom, right? He got a businessman to give him real money to launch this thing. Gary Gygax had no real money. He couldn't launch anything by himself. There was no Kickstarter then. He needed a real businessman, right? And a real businessman, if you're like, hey, I got this game, I think people are going to love it. A businessman, oh yeah, people love games. If you went to him and like, oh, I'm going to help transform humanity, no businessman in the world is going to give you a dime for that, right? Like it's not going to work. Okay. And then and then the last one, I particularly like this one. He's like, you know, okay, so I had to hide it as a game so that people would buy it. I had to design it as a game so that a real business person would fund it, so that I could actually be paid to create it. And then the last one is, if I said that I wanted to transform humanity and make humanity better than it is and use the tools of technology to fundamentally improve humanity, people would say I was crazy. And they literally did in this case. Will Porter's game designer is recovering from what had been labeled not an epiphany, but a manic event, right? A mental health breakdown event, right? And so they literally labeled him as crazy. Now, Will Porter, the game designer, he realizes this in the story and then, transformatively does this special thing to give him a space to release a product that is designed to transform humanity, right? Gary was smarter than this Will Porter game designer. He knew people would label him as crazy. People labeled me as crazy just for believing that he did it, right? He knew that nobody would fund his transformation of humanity, and he knew nobody would buy the product if it wasn't wrapped in a game. And so I have this incredibly unique belief. I've been trying to communicate for a long time, and I've never seen it more accurately, better described than where we just arrived in Black Mirror Season 7, Episode 4, Plaything. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.